There are moments in life that change you forever, moments so unexpected, so surreal, that they leave a permanent mark on your soul. I was 19 when my mother asked me to witness something that shattered everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and family. It was an invitation I never could have imagined, and one I desperately wish I had refused. It started with a simple phone call. My mom's voice was unusually calm, almost too calm, like she was holding something back. "I need you to be somewhere with me tonight," she said. There was no explanation, no details, just an address and a time. She wouldn't answer my questions, only repeating, "Just trust me." At 19, I still saw my mother as a pillar of strength, someone who always knew what to do. She had raised me mostly on her own, working late shifts, making sacrifices, ensuring I had everything I needed. So, despite the unease creeping into my chest, I agreed. Maybe she needed my support. Maybe something was wrong, but nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to see. When I arrived at the location, a quiet, upscale restaurant on the other side of town, she was already there, sitting in her car, eyes fixed on the entrance. She didn't greet me, didn't even look at me, just nodded toward the dimly lit doorway. "Watch," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. And then, like a scene straight out of a movie, my entire world tilted on its axis. A man stepped through the doorway laughing, his hand resting on the lower back of a woman who wasn't my mother. He leaned in, whispered something in her ear, and she smiled up at him in a way that made my stomach drop. I turned to my mother, expecting anger, heartbreak, some kind of reaction, but she just sat there, her expression unreadable, her fingers gripping the steering wheel so tightly that her knuckles turned white. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but before I could, she finally spoke. Her next words changed everything I thought I understood about our family, about her, and about the woman in that doorway. "You need to see this," she whispered, "because you deserve to know the truth." I swallowed hard, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear my own thoughts. My mother's voice was steady, but I could feel the weight behind her words. The truth. What truth? I looked back toward the restaurant, my mind racing. The man was still there, still smiling, still holding that woman like she belonged to him. And the worst part? I knew him. I had seen that face almost every day of my life. The man standing under the soft glow of the restaurant lights, whispering sweet nothings into another woman's ear, was my mother's husband, my stepfather, the man who had helped raise me since I was 10 years old. I felt my mother's gaze on me, waiting, watching my reaction. My hands trembled as I turned to her. "Mom," I started, but I didn't even know what I was asking. What was I supposed to say? Did she already know? How long had she known? She exhaled slowly, her fingers loosening their grip on the steering wheel. "I've suspected for a while," she admitted, "but I needed you to see it for yourself." A heavy silence filled the car. The realization of what she was saying settled deep in my stomach like a stone. She had brought me here not just to confirm her suspicions, but to pull me into this, into her pain, into her heartbreak. And suddenly, I wasn't just an observer. I was a part of it now. I turned back to the restaurant, watching my stepfather pull the woman closer. She laughed, tilting her head up to meet his gaze, with a look so full of admiration, it made me sick. I didn't know who she was, but in that moment, she became the reason everything in my life was about to change. My mother's breathing was steady, but I could see the way her fingers twitched against the steering wheel, how her jaw tensed every time my stepfather leaned in closer to the woman beside him. I wanted to ask her what she was thinking, what she wanted to do next, but a part of me was afraid of the answer. The betrayal sat between us like an open wound, raw and exposed. I kept replaying every moment I had shared with my stepfather, the birthdays, the late night talks, the times he had promised to always be there for us. How many of those words had been lies? How long had he been sneaking around behind my mother's back? And why did she bring me here instead of confronting him? I looked at her again, searching for something, anger, sadness, anything, but she just kept watching. It was as if she needed to memorize this moment, to etch it into her mind before deciding her next move.